Amar Surya to deliver the chief guest address today at the centenary celebrations of the Sri Lanka Medical Council. Dr. Amar Surya is a distinguished academic who graduated from universities both in India and the UK and served our academic community with distinction prior to moving into public policy and thereafter into politics as it is. And from there onwards, she had a stellar rise in her career, and in the last elections, she was elected with an overwhelming majority and was selected by His Excellency the President to be the Prime Minister of our country. We are indeed happy, Madam, that today, as academics and professionals, we have a professional par excellence as our chief guest. I would like to invite you to come over to deliver the chief guest speech.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Honorable Minister of Health, Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners and the Ambassadors, Honorable Attorney General, Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court, Honorable Members of Parliament, Professor Vajra Disanayake, President of the Sri Lanka Medical Council, Vice President and members of the Sri Lanka Medical Council, Dr. Hemantha Herath, Registrar of the Sri Lanka Medical Council, Professor Ranil Fernando, Chair of the Centenary Celebrations Committee and members of the committee, Professor Joan Simeon, Chair, International Association of Medical Regulatory Authorities, Professor Dame Carrie McEwan, Chair, General Medical Council UK, distinguished members of the medical, dental and allied health professions, guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased and honored and indeed privileged to be with you today to mark a momentous milestone, the centenary of the Sri Lanka Medical Council, and which I learned today is one of the oldest medical councils in the world, something that I think we can all be proud of. This is not just a celebration of 100 years of an institution, it is a celebration of 100 years of service to the public, to the medical profession and to our country. Let me begin by congratulating the leadership and staff of the SLMC, past and present, for their dedication, vision and commitment. 100 years of continuous regulatory stewardship is no small feat. You have been the quiet, steadfast custodians of medical professionalism in our country. For that, we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the SLMC has a unique and powerful mandate to protect the public by ensuring the competence, integrity, and accountability of the medical profession. It is a responsibility that goes far beyond issuing licenses or maintaining registers. It is about building trust, trust in doctors, trust in health systems, and ultimately trust in the state's ability to protect the health and dignity of all its citizens. As Prime Minister, I want to state clearly and unequivocally, the government of Sri Lanka places the highest value on strong, independent and principled professional regulation. In every sphere, whether medicine, law, education or engineering, we believe that robust regulatory bodies are essential to protect the public interest and to uphold professional standards. They are also key to maintaining the international credibility of our institutions and workforce. In the case of medicine, this responsibility becomes even more critical, because here we are dealing with life itself. Despite severe challenges, Sri Lanka has been able to maintain trust in the health system, as was evidenced during the COVID pandemic. This achievement is not to be taken lightly, and SLMC's commitment to ensuring professional standards played a huge role here. When countries far richer and more developed than us were struggling and citizens were losing faith and losing trust in their health systems, Sri Lanka managed that crisis comparatively well compared to many other countries. And the trust that was placed by our citizens in the health system was a huge factor there. And there's no doubt that the people of this country trust the health system because of the professional standards that we have been able to maintain over the years. And so, when the SLMC sets standards for medical education, it is safeguarding the future of healthcare in this country. When it holds doctors accountable, it is protecting patients and communities. When it advises government on complex ethical issues, it is shaping health policy with wisdom and care. When it engages internationally, it raises the profile and prestige of Sri Lankan medicine on the world stage. The government recognizes that these are not just technical functions. They are public duties that require courage, independence, and foresight. I believe we are at a crucial moment in medical education, but we have the advantage currently that the government in place is aligned with the need for professionalism in medicine, and is aligned with the principles and the standards that the SLMC wants to uphold. We too believe that strengthening the professional ethics and the integrity of our healthcare professionals is absolutely essential in order to safeguard the healthcare system in our country on behalf of our citizens. Speaking as the Minister of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education, I also want to urge you to consider how we can ensure, and I have spoken of this with some of you here previously, that our medical education produces more humane, empathetic and ethical practitioners. I have no doubt at all about their skills and knowledge, but I do believe that we need to work more on ensuring their ethical practice and that our the service that they deliver is caring as well as skillful. I was very pleased to hear the President speak of multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary medical education. I think that is essential now. It is not just essential in terms of the knowledge that such multidisciplinary approaches bring to education, but also because healthcare is now different. We no longer work in a hierarchical situation where the doctor makes all the decisions and the doctor gives directions for the others to follow. It's a much more team effort where there are different professions that have to contribute on equal terms to the care of a patient. And in this sense, I think that shift in culture that is also necessary for a more team approach is absolutely something that we need to take into account, and a multidisciplinary education will ensure that our health professionals also learn to respect each other's expertise and what they bring to the care of a patient. This is why we are committed to supporting the Sri Lanka Medical Council as it modernizes its structures and expands its capacity to meet the needs of a rapidly evolving health landscape. We have entered a new era in healthcare. Advances in genomics, am I saying that correctly? Artificial intelligence, digital health, and personalized medicine are transforming how we diagnose, treat, and prevent disease. These developments hold great promise, especially for a country like Sri Lanka, with a strong health system and a well-trained workforce. But they also raise new challenges: legal, ethical, professional. That too must be carefully managed. Regulatory institutions such as the SLMC are not optional in this process, they are absolutely essential. As new technologies emerge, as scope of practice evolve, and as patients become more empowered and better informed, or as we think we are better informed, I am on the other side of the table, and as many of us do now, the minute we find ourselves falling sick, we Google our symptoms. And then when we go to the doctor, we've already figured out, or we think we've figured out what is wrong with us. And I think it's a different kind of interaction now with the healthcare sector than our parents' generation or earlier generations. So it's a constantly evolving landscape that I think we really need to take into account. In such a context, the role of the SLMC will become even more critical in ensuring that progress does not come at the expense of safety, quality, or equity. I am particularly encouraged by the steps the SLMC has taken in recent years to embrace reform. The introduction of greater transparency and accountability, the streamlining of registration processes, the move towards digitalization, and the increased engagement with both the public and professionals are signs of a forward-looking institution. I'm also pleased to note the SLMC's leadership role in the region, including its active participation in the Southeast Asian and international networks of health profession regulators. Sri Lanka has much to offer. I think if there are two things that our country can be proud of, historically proud of, apart from what we think of traditionally, I think it is our health and our education systems. As challenged as they are, I think our public health and public education systems are truly institutions that we can be proud of and which we need to safeguard and protect for future generations. We have a lot to gain, therefore, and we have a lot to offer from deeper international collaboration in medical regulation, education, and research. We must make sure that our international recognition and standing is not compromised under any circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look to the future, I want to take this opportunity to reaffirm the government's commitment to preserving and strengthening the independence, integrity, and effectiveness of the SLMC. We believe that regulation must not be politicized. It must be principled. It must not be static. It must be responsive. It must not be adversarial. It must be inclusive and built on trust. That is why in our policies and our reforms, we will continue to create space for regulators like the SLMC to thrive, as partners in governance, as stewards of quality, and as guardians of public confidence. I also want to say a few words to the wider medical community present here today. You are the heart of our health system. And while much has changed in the last 100 years, one thing remains constant: the trust that people place in their doctors. That trust is precious, and it is sustained by professionalism, compassion, and a commitment to lifelong learning. The SLMC, as your regulator, is not here to stand in your way. It is here to support you, to guide you, and help you serve patients better. It is in that spirit of shared purpose and mutual respect that the government hopes to see the relationship between the SLMC, the profession, and the people continue to grow. Thank you very much for this opportunity that you have given me. Finally, I just want to say, let us remember that healthcare is not just a service. It is a public good that needs to be protected. And good regulation, like good governance, is ultimately about protecting and promoting that public good. 100 years ago, the founders of the SLMC could not have imagined the world we live in today. And we too cannot fully imagine the world that will exist in in 100 years from now. The chair of the book, the Souvenir Committee told me a few minutes ago, this is the first souvenir the SLMC has produced. And he said that he hopes that it will be an inspiration for the 150th anniversary souvenir. So we are building legacies here. You are part of a legacy. So, and who knows in 150 years what kind of a world we will live in and what kind of a SLMC will be required at that point. But this is also part of that history. So even though we cannot imagine that world, we can certainly shape it by what we do or what we don't do even today. So through the decisions we make, the institutions we build, and the values we uphold at this moment will have an impact on that 150th anniversary of SLMC as well, and whether SLMC will be able to survive the next 50 years, building on the legacy that you have shaped here, that you have put in place here, and ensuring that the trust that people have in our health profession continues to grow. As we mark this centenary, let us recommit ourselves to building a health system that is ethical, inclusive, innovative, and accountable, and a regulatory framework that stands tall in the service of people, not power. Once again, I congratulate the Sri Lanka Medical Council on reaching this historic milestone. The government is proud to stand with you today and in the years to come. Thank you, and may you continue to serve our country with integrity, vision, and courage. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a